Hey, good morning and welcome to Coach Red and Company. Glad to see you out there this morning. My name's Shane Huygens. I'm the co-host of Coach Red and Company, and this morning I have the honor of interviewing the main guy, Coach Red, aka Big Red. Coach Red, how you doing this morning?
I'm wonderful, Shane. How you doing, buddy?
It's a little chilly here in Orlando, as you know, and being from Iowa, got to represent the Hawks always. It's probably really warm here, but for
Yes.
us guys, it's cold. Coach Red, just let everyone know, Coach Red came to me with this idea of starting a podcast about high school sports in Florida and venturing out, and I thought it was a great idea. So I gave a little information about myself coming up. I just want to give you a little info about Coach Red. So, Coach Red, I know you grew up in South Florida, correct?
I actually grew up, born and raised here in Orlando. I went to
But
high
didn't you?
school. I went to high school in
Okay,
Boca Raton.
there it
After
is.
my
There it
eighth
is.
grade years, my mom's job transferred to Boca Raton. So, we went down there. When I was here, junior high was seventh, eighth, and ninth grade. And we just
Okay.
finished our eighth grade year. But in South Florida, high school was 9 through 12. And then they called it middle school down there for sixth, seventh, and eighth grade. So I
Okay.
went to high school at Spanish River High School in Boca Raton
The
for high
hard
school,
streets of Boca, baby.
and then came back up here to Orlando and played basketball for 2 years at Valencia,
Yep.
and have basically stuck around and done a number of things since then.
And who was your head coach at Valencia? David,
David
what was the
Jones, the
David
legendary
Jones,
David
the
Jones.
legendary David Jones became the AD.
Yep, he
Yep,
David Jones
absolutely.
was from up in the Panhandle,
Yeah, small town, right?
small town.
Yeah. They're all small up there. As you know, your wife's from a little small town up there, right? Oh, Niceville, my
Not
fault.
okay, yeah, nice. Oklahoma is up by the
Something like that.
uh,
Yeah, it's in that
turnpike.
area.
But
So
yeah,
what elementary school did you go to down here, Red in Orlando? I thought you were from Boca. That's my mistake.
no, actually grew up in Pine Hills, a little bit
Oh,
different area back in
yeah.
the 70s and 80s. Went to Pine Hills Elementary, actually
Okay.
graduated from Molly Ray, went over to
Oh, yeah.
Carver Middle School for a couple years,
Yowza.
which definitely enlightened, uh,
It woke you up a little bit.
woke me up. And it
I
was a
love it.
difference back then, I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah.
it was different.
You're
And
talking like 80 something, right?
82, 83,
Yeah,
or
yeah, yeah.
81 to
100%.
83 at Carver. And
Yeah.
so when we transferred down south, for high school, you start playing sports. It's, a great thing. You get to know people for who they are. And
Yeah.
that's one thing that I absolutely love about sports is, in my interview with Craig Damon, we talk about sports is an equalizer. You
Yeah.
can take rich kids, poor kids, black, white, Hispanic,
Yeah.
Asian, Latino. It doesn't matter. You're all on the same playing field trying to accomplish the same goal. So,
Yeah.
after high school and after Valencia, uh, tried to write some letters to walk on to some colleges, D2 schools, NAIA schools. Actually did a tour around the Southeast, went to Mars Hill, went to Georgetown in
Oh,
Kentucky,
it's all new info for me, people. So I like this.
went to Davis and Elkins. They wanted me to come and
Oh,
walk
yeah.
on. And I was like, man, I could just walk on or go to UCF and finish school. It cost me the same amount of money or a little less being in state
Yeah,
here.
yeah, yeah.
And at the time, my athletic director of Valencia was a gentleman named Don Rutledge, one of the
Oh,
great,
yeah.
one of the
Yeah.
great officials, basketball
Yeah.
officials in the country.
Forever.
And when we talked in your interview, you mentioned the Georgetown Villanova game. Well, Don
Yeah.
Rutledge actually officiated that game.
No way.
Yeah.
Come on.
Don Rutledge officiated that game. And so
That's
I
big
would
time
take
right
him
there.
during my third year at Valencia. I basically set out that third year. I was writing letters. I was kind of a manager / assistant coach with Dave
Yeah, yeah.
Jones.
Do what you got to do. Yeah.
And I was taking Don's officiating class in the fall. Had a great feel for the
Okay.
game, had a great
Yeah.
presence in it, and was told by a number of people that I'd do well. So I started basketball officiating for 7 years, was doing junior college within 3 years, Division II within 5. And then the summer of 95, I believe it was, kind of when the wheels came off. I learned a great lesson about time management and being on time, and I
Uh-oh.
tell young people this, and my wife and I don't fight about money. We fight about, early on, we used to fight about time. We don't anymore. But I went to a camp, had a 10 o'clock game that night. And these are these all-star summer camps where teams come, or kind of like the Adidas ABCD camp they used to have. And so there's a 10 o'clock game at night. I was supposed to referee at 6, or that game at 10. I laid down about 6:30 after dinner. This was pre-cell phones, pre-alarm clocks, all that stuff. I said, I'll get
not
up.
pre-alarm clocks.
Well, not pre-alarm clocks.
Pre-cell
I didn't bring one to camp. One to camp.
Exactly.
So I wake up, pitch black outside, lightning, thunder. I mean, it's like a Florida summer thunderstorm. It was crazy. I get up, I get dressed, I run to the lobby. I'm asking people, what time is it? It's 10:30.
Oh, no.
So I missed the game.
Yeah.
It's rained. There's no way I could have got to the game, right? I mean, just because of the rain. So the next morning we're in class. All the officials go to class in the morning at camp, and then we referee, in the afternoons. They just killed me without calling my name, about how the commissioner of the Southeastern Conference was there, along with the commissioner of the Big East, to watch me officiate. I didn't make the game. Definitely wasn't a good look. And as I'm walking to the game, my first game out of the chute that morning, of course, I'm feeling dejected. My partner goes, "Man, how do you like to been the idiot that did that?" I was the idiot that did that. So that happened. I was lucky enough and blessed enough to be put on the TAC, or Trans-America Athletic Conference roster that year. So for D1 officials, you go to a conference in Atlanta, a regional conference. Well, me and my buddy decided, like we were big time and young and, arrogant. We're going to walk into the D2 conference over in Tampa. We thought it starts at 9. It starts at 8. Who's in the lobby when I walk in? John Guthrie, the commissioner of the Southeastern Conference officials. Got another behind chewing about being on time, and the train only leaves the station so many times.
Yeah, exactly.
If you're not on it, it's going to leave you. A little bit later on, I'm supposed to do a junior college game, and the head official calls me, "Hey, Red, you want to meet up at this restaurant or gas station over on 75? We're supposed to go to Pasco Hernando." And that's kind of the era we were printing out directions off of MapQuest.
Oh, yeah, Google. MapQuest. Yeah, great years.
And so I told her, "No, I'll find it. I'll be there. No problem. Well, no one told me Pasco Hernando had 4 campuses.
Exactly.
I went to 3 of them. The one I didn't go
All 3 were wrong?
All 3 were wrong. None of them had a gym, so I missed that game.
Oh, Lord.
And so there was no letter from the Southeastern Conference.
Yeah.
Hey, thanks for it. That was it. So that was pretty much the end of my officiating.
Dick Bite said you got the Ziggy at that time, huh?
I got the Ziggy. So, I was actually working that 95-96 school year. I was working as the sports information director, or assistant sports information director out at UCF, and went from there, started my coaching career at Evans with Calvin Lingelbach.
Legendary coach.
Legendary coach, great athlete. I mean, this guy.
UCF. A lot of people don't know at UCF. He was the man,
he
right?
Was
you told me. I didn't know him, but you told me he was the man.
Well, him and Bo Clark, who coached the Flagler. Well, Bo's dad, Torchy Clark, legendary coach at UCF and FTU. So those kind of there was a lot of battle because they were both guards between those two, and so worked with him. Great coach. Fundamentals, doing it the right way, doing it with class, kind of win with class, lose with class, and
exactly.
And just had a great time with him. Another assistant coach, Greg Shirley, who's gone on to coach a number of different teams at Boone, up in North Carolina,
all over
Tennessee. Yeah. He's now the head coach, I believe, at Flagler Palm Coast High School.
Back in the state.
He retired from Orange County, went to Tennessee for 10 years, retired from there. I'm done. Gets a condo in Daytona, still has that coaching itch, coaches at Mangland for a year or two, and now he's up there. But, once I was left Evans, I was working some camps at Florida State. Every summer we had a college basketball tournament here in Orlando used to be called the Red Lobster Classic.
Okay.
When it was run by the Citrus Bowl, the Corey Dairy Farmers took it over, called the Milk Challenge in Florida. Florida State was always a staple.
Yeah.
So I met
Yeah.
Steve Robinson and his staff when he was at Florida State. Came up, worked a few years at camp. I get a call in February one day, and it was Coach Rob, and he asked if I'd be interested in coming up and working on his staff as director of basketball operations for a year. So I did that. It was an unbelievable experience because as director of basketball operations, you do everything but coach and recruit.
Yeah.
So you're doing all the administrative stuff, which helped me later on down the line as a head coach and as an athletic director because it was everything that I did with Steve. And so came back after a year, was at Apopka as the JV coach for a year, going into the weekend before my second season. I took a job as an assistant coach at St. Andrews Presbyterian College in
up in Carolina. I remember that.
Laurinburg, North Carolina. On one end of town was Laurinburg Prep. They actually brought in Mike Beasley while we were there. Came over to our gym and worked out. So I was there for about 9 months, man, and that was a tough one because I told my wife I wanted to recruit, right? I wanted to be a college recruiter, want to be a college coach. This was D2 school, and I tell people the difference between Division I, they're like snipers, right? They get 3 or 4 guys in their sights, and that's who they go after to get one.
Yeah.
Where D2 and smaller divisions, you're shotgun recruit, right? You're just spraying.
Yeah, you're throwing a net out there.
You're throwing a net out, trying to get whatever you can. So I did that for 9 months, paid $10,000. Guy goes, hey, job pays $10,000.
Big money back then.
This is 2002, 2003.
Heck yeah.
Paid $10,000. We got an apartment. Coach worked out a deal as a sponsorship of the apartment. I shared that with the other assistant coach.
Maybe gave you some food.
And then got a meal card for 3 squares a day in the cafeteria. and I brought my now wife, who was my girlfriend at the time, fiance, brought her up there. And, it was tough on her, because the only meal she had was we had a lady in the cafeteria that would make me a meal for her every day. She loved my wife, as everybody does. And I would bring home a meal in a styrofoam box and feed it to her. And, it was a tough 9 months, man. But
living the dream.
You live in the dream and learned a lot. I came back to Orlando in 2003 and took the head coaching job at Cypress Creek. Won the first and only district championship at Cypress Creek, still to this day. And they had some guy named, what's that guy's name? Amari Stoudemire, NBA Rookie of the Year. The year before, they were only 500 at 15-15, and so left after 2 years. Cypress Creek went over to Osceola High School for 2 years. Had some really good success there. Left there, got out of coaching, got into being an athletic director at Oak Ridge High School for 3 years.
I remember those days.
Had a blast. Learned a lot there. And then in 2010, one of my former assistants from Cypress Creek says, hey, you need to, look at this teaching overseas gig. It's a great opportunity. It's a great way, for teachers to kind of make some money, see the world. And our kids were 3 and 5 at the time. Me and my wife's like, you know what, let's do it. Let's take a leap of faith. And
exactly.
The contract's only 2 years. So we left in 2010, went to Vietnam for 2 years. I was the head of PE, athletic director, and boys and girls basketball coach there for 2 years. 2012, we left there, went to China, opened up a brand new school in China for 3 years. Actually started, you'll feel this one. Actually started as the 5th grade teacher.
I believe that was the time where you emailed me and say, hey, Shane, can you send me some lesson plans or something for PE? It was some of that era there.
It was K to
that had to be interesting
at the time, and then we were going to add 12th the next year. We had 56, 58 kids in the whole class. I had 2 kids in 5th grade. So, some days the entire 5th grade was absent. Some days they were all there. So, some days we had the 5th grade show up. And then the year, the gentleman and his wife, who was PE teacher, and I forget what she taught, they had to leave for a family emergency back home, take care of their parents. So I slid over into the AD and had a PE job and did that for the following 2 years. Came back after the 2014-15 school year, coached one more year as a dean and assistant AD actually back at Oak Ridge High School. And then we left, took another overseas position at George Washington Academy in
Mm-hmm.
Casablanca, Morocco.
Morocco, yeah.
And then came back 2017. Tried to get into the whole teaching and coaching thing. Spent a year or half a semester first semester substituting. And in the spring semester in 2018 was working as an assistant principal at an alternative high school with a buddy of mine.
Yeah.
Kids coming in just working self-paced to graduate, to get their GEDs or high school diplomas. And, kind of been out of the educational realm since. But like you said, when your kids are growing up in sports, and one of the reasons we came back from Morocco was to give our two daughters a chance to play sports.
Gotcha.
And my oldest daughter, her year in Morocco, played 6 different sports. She was in 5th grade. She played on the JV basketball team with juniors and seniors. She played volleyball. She was the soccer goalie in middle school. She's the 10 to 12-year-old shot put champion in the Morocco International School. We had a track meet, and she won that.
And that's big time, I'm sure.
That's big time. So, she got voted female athlete of the year. And, we looked at each other and like, listen, my wife played at Rollins, best basketball player in the house, without a doubt. And so we said, if we want these girls to have that kind of opportunity, we need to get them back home and play. And
absolutely
get them that training. And, even though volleyball, basketball, and soccer are the 3 big international school sports all abroad, we wanted them to be able to get to college and get that specialized attention and coaching. So we made that decision to come back. And it was a great decision for us. Both daughters, 4-year varsity players at Osceola High School, been playing club since one was 13 and the other was 10 or 11. Annika's finishing up her 2nd year at St. Pete College. So we're trying to get her another opportunity at a 4-year school. And baby girl Ariana's graduating this year and playing club. So we just started club season. So we're looking to get her down the road at a school here next year. So, just
busy
been around
time of year for you then.
And so kind of had this idea. I love high school athletics. Go to some football games, and I just miss being the AD or being a coach and being on that field and watching those young men just kind of, just battle, put it all on the line after a week of practice, and just the environment and the people and the community that's there, and then walking into a gym and hearing all them shoes squeak and watching games and watching teams prepare. And I miss the coaching part of it. I don't miss a lot of the BS that's going on now in the school systems and the politics. I don't miss that at all. I failed to mention one thing. Back in 2007, when I got out of coaching, I took a phone call on my way home from work. And actually, I saw it was a Fort Lauderdale number. I'm like, well, I don't know anybody in Fort Lauderdale. I'm not going to take it. Well, ding, voicemail pops up. Let's start listening to it. Halfway through, I just hung up, dialed the number back. It's a lady named Bonnie Baisden out of Freeport, Bahamas. And she called and said, hey, I got your number from Joe Crawford from AAU. He recommended you to coach. He said, you're not coaching now because you're the athletic director. Would you be interested in coaching my team down here in the Bahamas, in Freeport? I'm like, well, how much does it pay? Says, well, I can't pay you, but I'll cover all your expenses. And I was like, all the food? She's like, yeah. I was like, well, you're going to lose money.
So, you know how big I am.
And, she was just here over Christmas break, brought her team over. They played at Atlantic High School over in Daytona in a tournament. And so I've been going down there. We started doing camps. In the summers, I'd go down 3 or 4 days at a clip, a week during Thanksgiving, a week here during spring break, and just kind of coach them up, travel with them to different islands to play different tournaments or play friendly games. The people were amazing. So, just this game of basketball is taking me all over the world. Did a basketball camp in Frankfurt, Germany in 98 in October. Came in and told my principal at the time, I was like, hey, I got an opportunity, all expense paid trip to Frankfurt, Germany, do a basketball camp, and you would think the principal, I can't let you go. He goes, I'll see you in a week. And, later on that year or a couple years later, when I was actually at the D2 school in North Carolina, the guy called me again and said, hey, I'd love for you to come help us do this camp in Japan. So definitely basketball has been a blessing for me, take me all over the world and allow me to do something that I absolutely love. So.
Yeah.
That's
So you're obviously your story is quite interesting. I mean, I've known you, like I said, I think since like '95. I didn't know all that with the refereeing, so that's cool to hear all that knowledge kind of before I met you,
right.
what you were into. And and I remember, you worked at Kansas camps, good friends with, Roy Williams, Steve Robinson. So saying all that and all these trips everywhere, what would be, I want to, I don't want to say most memorable moment overall, but what's your most memorable moment that would be sports related, so to speak? Not hanging out in Morocco, because I'm sure it was incredible,
Right.
but sports related.
I go back to Cypress Creek, my first head coaching job.
Yeah,
I
that's
come in,
big.
I come in there and, we had a lot of seniors and, you make the decision, well, do we get rid of all the seniors, take the young
Yeah.
kids and try to take your lumps now and kind of move up? So we kind of did actually a hybrid model.
Okay.
We had a slogan that year, commit or quit.
Yeah.
And principal came to me one day and says, Red, I really don't know about this commit or quit slogan. It seems like you're pushing these kids to quit. And I put it to him this way. I said, let me ask you something. Would you want your teachers to come in every day and just give you half effort and not
Yeah.
really try, not get better at their craft,
Excuse me.
and, just go through the motions every day? Or would you want them to come in
Yeah.
every single day, give the best effort they could for these kids to help grow them? Testing's always big, to help get their test scores where they
Yeah.
need to be. Which group, which one of those teachers would you want? And he's like, I see your point. And I said,
Yeah.
that's what it's all about. I want you to commit to this team. I want you to commit to getting better as a player. And, you commit to getting better as a player, that's going to make our team better. And even I had to do it. I go to camps
Yeah.
before
Yeah.
every
Yeah.
season, and just every day we would come together before practice and after practice in a circle of midcourt. And we had all the banners at the end of the gym. And there was a hole in between a couple banners. And I would get those guys to visualize, that's where your banner's
Yeah.
going. That's
Yeah.
where your banner's going. And we started out, Shane, we were 1-7, and started the year. And it was a struggle getting them to buy it. And we ended up 17-11. We make a great run in the playoffs in the district tournament. I think we beat the number 1, the number 2, and the number 3 team that year. We were down going into the fourth quarter by 12 to Timber Creek, came back and tied it up, go to overtime and win. And man, what a feeling. And everybody knows me, knows I'm just a big softy anyway, and I cry all the time. But man, my grandfather was there. God rest his soul now. He's passed away. I would bring him to a lot of my games. And, I'm superstitious. After we won the first game, we had this Jamaican guy who was our bus driver. I was like, you're the bus driver. I said,
100%.
Let's go. You tell the depot you're my guy for the next 2 nights. My grandfather sat in the front seat. I wore the same outfit every day.
Same.
Everybody, we're all doing it the same. I love telling this story. We had a young man who, right after high school, Anthony goes through some medical stuff, and he ends up with stomach cancer. So all of the stuff that they're pumping in this guy to help fight the cancer kind of destroyed his heart and his kidneys. And he's got to go double transplant within a week of each other. And, I come in to visit him at the hospital, Shane, and you walk in, he's got, a couple of players there, his buddy's girlfriend was there, and he's got tubes and stuff dinging and beeping all over him. And the first thing out of this kid's mouth is commit or quit, coach. That gets you, man.
Yeah, that makes the tears come out a little bit there.
Things in life, than basketball. But man, when
you see
you
that,
can take something like that and apply, commit or quit to a fight of your life.
Yeah, absolutely.
Anthony Hawkins,
that's a crazy.
It's a hell of a story. I love telling it, and just being around those young men, and I love it because you never know who you're going to touch. When kids call you,
absolutely.
Hey, coach, I'm in town. Can I come by the house? Yeah.
Yep.
Coach, I'm getting married. What do you think? Coach, I'm having a kid. Should I do this? Should I take this job? Should I try to do this?
Yeah.
So.
Hey, that was great stories from Coach Red. Coach Red's going to be our host here on the Coach Red and Company podcast. I'm Coach Shane. I'm going to be the co-host. Down below, we got the subscribe, link button. Hit it all up. Any questions you have, make sure you put them in there. We'll try to answer. So, hey, Coach Red, I appreciate talking to you today, and I will see you on the next episode.
Thanks, Shane.
Be good.